If North Korea suddenly became pro-American, you wouldn't support it, would you? You know that you wouldn't.
You say that this is a country that hates America.
No, I would say that of North Korea. I think that's fair to say, having... Did I'm going out on a limb there. Yes, I am.
Over to this country and bomb us? Did they ever do what the U.S. did to Korea? Do you think the Koreans feel good about what the U.S. did to Korea? The U.S. bombed every building over one story during the Korean War.
Right.
The bombers had to come back with their payloads undropped because there were no bombs.
Why do you think you dislike... Hold on. Do you ever, just a quick reality check, do you ever say to yourself, you know, I dislike America, where I live, more than I dislike North Korea.
I don't dislike the people of this country at all. I'm thinking about them as well as the people of Korea.
Why make excuses?
We should not have a war against Korea.
But
and these people
I'm with you there. Hold on,
Washington and the Pentagon,
I'm with you there.
who are actually doing the planning for such a war.
Let me ask you one last question,
there's
if you can do this.
war games coming up against
war games. But let me ask you a question.
They suspended them during the
I don't want to have to cut you off. I just want to ask you one last question. It's a sincere one. Does it bother you? I got it. Does it bother you at all? Does it make you rethink your defense of North Korea when you see its population starving and its leader dying of obesity?
People there are not starving.
Well, they just had a famine 15 years ago.
Some years ago. You know, this is a country that was left in ashes.
It's our fault.
Just a generation and a half ago. They
so is South Korea. How did South Korea get so built up?
They rebuilt their country. They have... You know, if you look at the Koreans, they're the healthiest looking people in the world.
They're the best.
If you look at those
Except
Koreans.
for the tapeworms and the tuberculosis. They're awesome. You know what? You should get some dental work.
You are telling people lies about the world, and that's what your station does. And I'm not surprised by that at all.
Well, we're glad to have you on for some truth, Deirdre. Thank you so much. It's great to see you. Dr. Alan Mendoza is Executive Director of the Henry Jackson Society, and he joins us tonight. Dr. Mendoza, thanks for coming on.
A pleasure to be with you.
So do you think we're overstating it when we describe North Korea as basically a prison?
No, of course not. It is basically a prison. This is the world's most repressive regime. It is indeed a prison camp. You can't leave. I don't know what your last guest was sort of smoking before she came on, but I have to say it's the most extraordinary set of sort of points, disparate points put together in a sort of a policy statement. Look, this is a state which exists and runs on terror. It runs on terror, it runs on torture, it runs on imprisonment, and it runs on ensuring that the people who live there are at the beck and whim of the regime. It is indeed a prison camp. You're absolutely correct.
So why the impulse? I mean, you've watched the reaction of the international left to a lot of these different regimes over the years. Why the impulse to defend, to side with, to make excuses for regimes that are indefensible simply because they hate the West?
There is an extraordinary romance that the left actually believes in when it comes to these regimes. It starts with the idea that actually we can convert these people somehow. It goes along the lines, actually we have something in common with them. I think you're right to highlight the fact that the US is frequently seen as the sort of chief enemy of these regimes is actually something that actually appeals to the left as well.
Yes.
And take those things together. You look at those two things together and you realise that you get a kind of complete opposite to what would happen if it was a right-wing regime. If that was the case, the left would be first out onto the street saying we must denounce them, we must ignore them. But when it comes to someone who is purportedly anti-American in that kind of way, they have a very different view.
It's sort of strange, though, if you live in the West, in the UK or in the United States, and enjoy the fruits of the society, why devote your life to destroying it? I mean, only the West does that, right?
Well, Absolutely, and here you come to the crux of the matter, which is why is it that citizens of our countries who enjoy free societies, who enjoy the ability to argue, who enjoy the ability to discuss, will go out onto a limb to defend dictators, repressive regimes who prevent their citizens from doing that? It is an extraordinary, extraordinary turn of events when that happens. What you should be seeing, what true liberals should be doing, is arguing for the inhabitants of those countries who are subjected to human rights abuses, getting them the same rights that they themselves enjoy, but you don't have that at all.
No, it's a good point. It's why fathers should be nice to their children, otherwise they'll grow up to be progressives. They'll hate you, and they'll make a whole politics out of it. Alan, thank you very much.
A pleasure. Thank you.
The Democrats' FBI memo is not out yet. The White House says there's too much classified information in it, but they're working on that. Was that the Democratic plan all along, putting classified intel in it so the White House wouldn't release it right away? We'll put that question to a congressman next.
Tucker Carlson is brought to you by Pacific Life, protecting generations of families for 150 years. That's the power of Pacific.
Some moments can change everything. You can't always predict them, but you can game plan for them. For 150 years, generations of families have chosen Pacific Life for retirement and life insurance solutions to help them reach their goals. Being ready for wherever life leads. That's the power of Pacific. Ask a financial advisor about Pacific Life.
Hey, pass, please.
I'm here to fix the elevator.
Nothing's wrong with the elevator.
Right.
But you want to fix it.
Right.
So who sent you?
New guy.
What new guy?
Watson.
My analysis of sensor and maintenance data indicates elevator 3 will malfunction in 2 days.
There you go.
You still need a pass.
These birds, once affected by oil, are heading back home thanks to Dawn. Rescue workers only trust Dawn because it's tough on grease, yet gentle.
I am home. I am home. I am home.
If I go this way, I could pancake some pancakes, but if I go that way, I could omelet some omelets.
Hey! Just go to IHOP. They have all kind of omelets that come with pancakes.
IHOP's omelets come with pancakes.
With 16 years in cybersecurity, I can tell you that criminals are scouring the dark web trying to steal your identity and your personal information.
That's why Experian monitors the dark web globally and alerts you to suspicious activity, so you can act before a criminal can. Go to Experian.com/protect now to see if your personal information is on the dark web with a free one-time dark web scan.
Don't let them steal your identity on the dark web. Protect yourself with a company you can trust.
Fox News Channel on Sirius XM. Your favorite shows on Channel 114. Plus, every story, every 15 minutes. Fox News headlines 24/7. Channel 115.
This is a legal alert. Roundup weed killer has been designated as a probable human carcinogen by the World Health Organization. Landscapers and those who work in the landscaping industry where Roundup or other glyphosate products are used are at risk for developing non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Roundup weed killer is the most commonly used weed killer in American agriculture, with an estimated 85 to 90 million pounds used each year. If you or someone you love has been diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma after being exposed to Roundup or glyphosate herbicide, you may be entitled to compensation. How do you protect yourself and fight for the compensation you deserve? You choose the right legal team that has the experience, support staff, and resources to seek the most compensation for your injuries. If you or someone you love has been diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma and has been exposed to Roundup or glyphosate herbicide, call for more information and a free case review. Time may be limited to file a claim, so call now.
There's a battle underway in Washington over memos. Democrats have asked President Trump to release their memo. It's a rebuttal to the Nunes memo of 10 days ago on the FBI. The president says he will release it, but at this point, the memo contains too much classified information that must be taken out or altered before the public can see it. Some are saying that was the plan all along. The Democrats deliberately created a memo they knew couldn't be released. Congressman Eric Swalwell represents the state of California, and he joins us tonight. Congressman, thanks for coming on.
Tucker, great to be back after our court-ordered cooling-off period.
Exactly, which I was thinking about today, and I'm glad and grateful that you came back. So 10 days ago, February 2nd, was the day the Nunes memo was released, and this show had called for it to be released. And because of that, you said that we were working for Vladimir Putin. Now, the Democrats have a memo, the minority memo, and I would like to see that released, and we've called for it to be released on the show as well. Do you still think I'm working for Putin now that I want your memo to be released?
No. Tucker, I never said that. I said that you're making the same argument. You're on the same side with them. But I'm glad you do agree that
I was actually doing his bidding. So the question is asking for your memo to be released doing his bidding also?
Yeah. No, I said when you're on the same side, you have to ask whose bidding are you doing. But Tucker, I'm glad you agree with me.
Hold on, wait. Please answer the question. Yeah. I'm asking for your. You said that because I wanted Nunes's memo to become public. Now I would like Adam Schiff and your memo to become public. Am I still on Putin's side?
It sounds like this is going to be a short interview because you and I both agree the Democratic memo should be public.
Okay, so the answer is, if I want the Republican memo to be released, I'm on Putin's side, but when I want the Democratic memo to be released, I'm on God's side?
I think both of us agree that we should get past the memo, the attacks on process, and get back to the evidence in this investigation.
But see, what's so striking, though, is that when Nunes was releasing his memo, you guys said, and you among them, this is hurting American national security. It's subverting the rule of law. This memo that you are trying to release now apparently has classified information in it. I think you would agree that it does. The intelligence agencies say that it does. Why is that not also hurting American national security and subverting the rule of law?
Well, we did something, Tucker, that the Republicans weren't willing to do. We asked the Department of Justice to review it. And if there is anything in there that would hurt the rule of law or national security, we would want that redacted. But it seems odd that the president now wants to listen to the FBI when he was willing to release the memo before even hearing from them or even looking at the memo. I just want the memo out there.
Wait. As a great respecter of the FBI, and that was the case you've made for months, that anyone who questions the FBI is unpatriotic, and they protect your life even as you sleep, and how dare you question their judgment? Are you questioning their judgment? Wouldn't you want the FBI to hold that memo if they believe it imperils national security?
We do, and we're working with them right now to make any redactions necessary. But the way the president has framed this, Tucker, is very suspicious. I want to know if he's pressured them at all to hold back any information from the American people. And I think,
are you saying the FBI is subject to political pressures? I thought the FBI was above politics. Isn't that the case that you've made night after night on this show? That we shouldn't suggest. Oh,
he's already fired the guy who was investigating it.
So all of a sudden, the FBI is a political tool. But I thought I was immoral for suggesting that 10 days ago. But now you're suggesting it. It's kind of weird.
They're not a political tool.
Oh, because I thought you just said that. You said they had just been pressured.
That's not what I said.
Oh, didn't you just say they'd been pressured?
No, I want to know if he's pressuring them. He can apply pressure without them being pressured. We should work with them. But again, Tucker, this is all a distraction. It's a charade, actually. We really should be hearing from witnesses because it may be surprising. We haven't heard from a witness in our investigation in over a month now.
I agree. And look, I mean, again, just to be totally clear, I think that classification is used to shore up people's power in Washington. I think a lot of things that we should be able to see, we can't because they're classified for no good reason. So I'm very sympathetic to your case. What I'm not sympathetic to is the changing goal line here. So when you do something, it's great, it's in the national interest. When the Republicans do the exact same thing, it's somehow doing the bidding of Vladimir Putin. Do you see what I'm saying?
Well, no, Tucker, what I see is the FBI said it would be extraordinarily reckless to release a memo, and the president went ahead and did it anyway. Now they have said they have concerns about ours, and what are we doing? We're working with them. We're not going to the House floor and just reading it recklessly. We're working with them because we still believe in the rule of law and the institutions of the Department of Justice and the FBI.
Can I ask a question?
I think that's the difference here.
Why did you send it to the White House? Why didn't you ask the FBI first? I mean, you're part of the Oversight Committee. You could have asked them privately, hey, is there anything in here you think would imperil American national security before you send it to the White House? But you didn't because you wanted to grandstand about it, obviously, right?
No, it's not grandstanding. It's about an attack that occurred on our country, witnesses in this investigation now being given information by the Republicans, and us wanting to follow the rules. God forbid we have a rule of law and a process that's worked for over 200 years.
Why didn't you ask the FBI ahead of time? Wait, hold on. Why didn't you run the memo by the FBI before you sent it over to the White House?
Tucker, we've been following the rules that we're given. We're in the minority right now.
Oh, no
I don't
answer.
think this is how it would be run if we were in the majority.
Okay.
I think
well, I know that's true. We'd be in the middle of impeachment. So really quick, look, we've been talking about this for over a year. You've suggested that the president and the people around him basically sold out our country to a hostile foreign power, Russia. You've presented no evidence of that. You live on Fox, big audience, and you can present it. I'll let you present the evidence. I mean that, because this has gone on too long, and I want to know what the evidence is, finally. Fair?
Yeah. Yeah, fair, Tucker. But we're not even looking for collusion. That's the problem on our committee. We're attacking the process. We're not interviewing witnesses. If you gave us time to interview witnesses and the subpoena power, I promise you we could tell the country once and for all what happened.
It's gone on for over a year.
Deal.
If you have any evidence at all of collusion, any, and I don't care how small it is, I will give the floor to you, and I mean that, because I want to wrap this up. I'm sure you do too. Because you're not enjoying it.
A lot of my conservative friends would love to see me on your show for a half hour.
Congressman, thank you for joining us. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
President Obama and the First Lady Michelle Obama has had their Smithsonian portraits revealed. They're really odd. Just going to be honest with you. They're weird. And we're going to show them to you just ahead.
I'm 65 and healthy. I'm not at risk.
Even healthy adults 65 and older are at increased risk of pneumococcal pneumonia.
Isn't it like a bad cold or flu?
Pneumococcal pneumonia is a potentially serious bacterial lung disease. In some cases, part of your lung may fill with mucus, making it hard to breathe.
Can I catch it from a pneumococcal vaccination?
No, the vaccines do not contain live bacteria.
Talk to your doctor or pharmacist about how to help protect yourself.
I am somewhere in Mexico. I've been kidnapped.
This is really bad timing.
They want 5 million to an account.
You tell whoever's got you, there is no deal unless they come way down on the price.
What the mother?
I almost feel bad for the guy.
Just stay focused.
I am focused.
Things are going to start to get better for you.
You work for bad people.
I don't think you can survive that. Ringo. Rated R. In theaters March 9th.
Soft. Softer. And the world's softest ever. Introducing the world's softest pajamas from Pajamagram this Valentine's Day. What makes these pajamas the world's softest? The fleece lining is carefully brushed, which makes it both soft and warm, while the knit on the outside is silky smooth. She'll love the way the world's softest pajamas look and feel, and so will you. Go to pajamagram.com now and get her what you know she'll love. The world's softest pajamas are not only soft, they look great too. Designed to move with her body, to drape and follow every contour of her every curve. Guys, the world's softest pajamas make a great gift for her, and you get to enjoy them too, all year round. So go ahead and spoil her. You can order these pajamas now in time for Valentine's Day, and every package comes already wrapped, so you don't have to do another thing. These pajamas have all the luxury of cashmere without the high price. The world's softest pajamas are more than a gift. They're a feeling, like wrapping her in relaxation, with the coziest comfort on the inside and happiness like a silky smooth smile on the outside. And when she's happy, you're happy too. Soft. Softer. And the world's softest ever. Guys, give your Valentine the gift that keeps on giving. Softness, comfort, and relaxation for her and for you. Call or go online now at pajamagram.com to order the world's softest pajamas today. With so many different styles to choose from, you'll find the perfect gift just for her. Every order comes with free gift packaging, so you don't have to wrap it, and a personalized gift card. Delivery is guaranteed by Valentine's Day, so order now at pajamagram.com.
My husband's probably going to think I'm crazy. He thinks I'm going to see my sister.
Sometimes the confidence to be spontaneous starts with financial stability.
Once I heard it, I was shocked. I just thought, I have to go get it. It's surgery.
See how a personalized financial strategy and access to J.P. Morgan investment expertise can help you. Chase, make more of what's yours.
Once again, immigration is starting to dominate debate in the U.S. Senate. The majority leader of the Senate, Mitch McConnell, is allowing free debate on the floor. He hopes that will result in a deal that can reach the president's desk and get his signature. Senator David Perdue is a Republican from Georgia. He's the co-sponsor of a newly introduced Secure and Succeed Act. It basically reflects the immigration priorities the president laid out in his State of the Union address, a path to citizenship for 1.8 million dreamers, coupled with $25 billion for border security, a wall, lower family-based immigration, and an eventual end to the diversity lottery. Senator Perdue joins us tonight. Senator, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for doing this.
So this is a question that just dawned on me because I'm a little slow. I thought this was a debate about DACA, which is like 600, 700,000. And then the president's talking about legalizing 1.8, 2 million. Where did the extra people come from?
Well, this started several weeks ago. Actually started a year ago when Tom Cotton and I, and you've been on your show a couple of times about that. We started a year ago talking about we have an opportunity to fix the immigration system. And when the president decided a couple months ago that he wanted that Obama had done the incorrect thing by the executive order regarding DACA, then he moved and said he's going to put that back on the plates of Congress. And so that's where we are. So we've been working feverishly to follow up on his agenda that he laid out several weeks ago in the White House when we had Democrats and Republicans in the White House talking about how to fix this immigration system on the legal side, the legal immigration system. So and that's where we are.
If we legalize 1.8 million, put them on a path to citizenship and voting, how can we be sure it stops there? Previous amnesties have drawn a lot of other people. How do you stop it at 1.8?
Well, first, this is not an amnesty. And second of all, if that's all you did, you would not end this
How is it not an amnesty?
Well, because these are people that have not actually violated the law. But here's the issue. The issue is the president made a bold move. He put this out as an offer if and only if he gets the four facets of this framework that he laid out. And that includes the end of the diversity lottery, end of this linked chain migration that we have, and border security. So those are things that would preclude us from being back here again in just a few years.
Right. So this is, to immigration hawks, this seems too moderate. But to a lot of Republicans in the Senate, it seems it's too fierce. Can you get united Republican support for this?
Well, we're finding out right now. But this is a bill that is supported by the American people. Two-thirds of Americans want to end the DACA situation. They want to end it. They also want border security, end of chain migration, end of diversity lottery. 71% believe immigration should be based on the worker, the immediate family, and the spouse alone. And so this president has reached out and has got a bill, or we've got a bill that the president will sign into law and actually will assure us from being here again just in a few short years.
So who would, among Republicans, who would vote against this, and on what grounds? On what grounds could a Republican be against this bill?
Well, some people will say, well, we don't support a pathway to citizenship. Well, this is a price to pay to end this nonsense right now and to get to a solution that will keep us from being here in just a few short years. Most of the Republicans that I know will back this bill the way we have.
You get any Democrats?
Well, we hope so. We're going to find out. It'd be really interesting to see if they'll vote against this solution, what they've called for before. The interesting thing right here is that over the last 30 years, Democrats in different forums have actually asked for these same facets that the president has outlined in this framework. As early as in the 90s, Barbara Jordan headed up a commission that Bill Clinton received that called for an end to chain migration.
Of course. I get the noted white supremacist Barbara Jordan. It's ridiculous. Senator, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Good to see you. Jose Magana is an immigration attorney, and he joins us tonight. Jose, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, Tucker.
So the president, as you know, has put on the table, and Republicans you just heard from the senator are willing to back up, legalizing, giving amnesty to 1.8 million people who came here illegally. If that happens, if Trump does sign a bill giving citizenship to these people, will you vote for Trump? Will anybody in that group vote for Trump?
So, Tucker, I can't vote for Trump because I'm actually a DACA recipient. I've been here for 30 years. I have 2 U.S. citizen brothers. I'm a small business.
I'm very aware of that, but I'm including you in that. So if this goes through, you will get a path to citizenship.
Unfortunately, this won't go through, Tucker, because the plan that the White House has proposed simply has no legs. I've met with hundreds of Republican offices in the House and in the Senate. There's not 18 votes in the House, and there's not even 50 votes in the Senate.
There's no doubt that a lot of Republicans on the Hill are adamantly in favor of open borders. That's why these people are here in the first place. I mean, you don't need to convince me of that. But I don't want to argue the politics of it. I want to argue the principle of it. What matters? What's right and what's wrong? What about this bill is unacceptable to you?
So I want to know what happened to the President Trump that campaigned during 2016 who promised to be an advocate of legal immigration. This framework would radically cut legal immigration to levels not seen since the Great Depression.
That's not true,
it's
actually.
Absolutely
levels
true.
not seen since 1995,
since
but whatever. You've got the wrong numbers. But look, I'm not going to get them in your face. The point is, this bill does what specifically that you think is unacceptable? Chain migration stays. It's limited to the nuclear family, but you still get to bring your nuclear family. They just can't bring a lot of other people after them. Should they be able to? I mean,
well, President Trump himself during the campaign promised that he would put a big, beautiful door at our nation's border for legal family immigration.
So this would bring, we get 500, let's just say 500,000 legal immigrants a year. What should be the number if that's not enough?
So right now we have about 1 million, actually, that
little
get
over
green cards.
Right.
I think the number should be slightly more. I think during S744,
should be what? Because why?
I think 1.5 million, 2 million, because immigration makes this nation consistently great. You know, 86% of the American public, including 79% of registered Republicans, want the Dreamers to stay here, but not
actually no. I mean, as long as you're going to throw poll numbers around with which I'm familiar, there's no group of Americans that wants 2 million legal immigrants a year. I mean, Pew just polled this 2 weeks ago. People want less legal immigration. But whatever.
86% want the DACA recipients to stay, but not under the deal that the president has proposed.
And that's bad. Why? He's giving citizenship to people who came here illegally, 2 million of them, and that's racist because why? Exactly. No, I'm serious. Like, what specifically?
The president has had an opportunity to make a bipartisan deal on this, but he rejected the Graham-Durbin proposal, which would end the diversity visa, reduce family immigration, and fund the wall with billions of dollars.
Look, please don't get political with me. I just want to talk about the policy. Like, what about this specifically? So this would prevent people from bringing their relatives who aren't part of their nuclear family. Do you think that people should be able to come here legally, get amnesty, citizenship, and then bring who? Grandparents, uncles, cousins? Like, what do you want specifically?
I think our system is incredibly restrictive. Already, you can't sponsor grandparents, uncles, cousins. It takes decades to bring your family here, and often they can't come because of collateral provisions in the INA. So we have a restrictive system already,
So you should be able to bring, you should be able to come here illegally, get amnesty, then become a citizen. You didn't go through the normal path. You snuck in the country. You're here illegally, but we give you amnesty, and you should be able to bring your cousins, your uncles, and your grandparents. That's what you believe.
Most of those normal paths are actually being eliminated by the White House immigration proposal. If this White House is so committed to legal immigration, why does it try to end it?
No, but these are people who came here illegally. We have no duty to keep them. We could deport them, including you. No offense. I'm just saying, like,
I hope you wouldn't deport me, Tucker.
Well, lots of countries deport people. Lots of them. Dominican Republic, Japan, Israel. A lot of countries do it.
But we don't set our immigration policies based on other countries.
We don't. I'm just saying we have no moral responsibility to deal with people who aren't citizens, because our responsibility is to citizens. So people sneak in here. They're here illegally. We give them citizenship, and it's immoral not to let them bring not just their parents and their siblings, but their grandparents, their uncles, as you said, and their grandparents. That's your position.
So this proposal actually would affect even individuals who come to the United States legally and want to sponsor their family. I thought the Republican Party was all about family, but this essentially makes it easier to break families apart.
Well, but you don't have to come here if you don't want. I don't know if you knew that. You don't actually, it's our country, and you don't have to come if you don't want.
It's my country, too, Tucker.
No, I don't think it is, because I don't think you're a citizen, are you?
I'm not, but I've been here for 30 years. I own property in D.C. I have 2 degrees. I am a small business owner. You want to kick me out, Tucker?
The basis of a country is citizenship. It's something against you personally. It just has to be that way, or else it's not a country, right?
Absolutely. So let's create additional legal channels for people to be able to bring their close
How about we decide who comes? How about we don't let people who come illegally bully us into bringing their relatives? How about we as Americans decide who makes the cut and who doesn't?
Actually, we already did. Congress did that over the course of the last 100 years, has established a family immigration.
It's unbelievably weird. If you haven't seen these pictures, don't go away.
Why do you need a modern software factory? Hey, do you like that app?
Not really.
That's why. And that's a big deal, because a bad experience is bad for business. So you need to continuously build, test, and deliver amazing apps, predicting problems before they ever become problems. Impossible, you say? Well, actually...
Oh, hey, I like this one.
We're wired with 100 billion nerve cells, so when aggravated nerves cause pain, use New Salon Pos Lidocaine Plus. One anesthetic numbs nerves fast, while maximum strength lidocaine calms them for hours. New Salon Pos Lidocaine Plus. Also try our lidocaine patch.
Do you need the most trusted battery in your noise-canceling headphones? Maybe not. Maybe you could trust you won't be next to a loud eater. Or you could just trust Duracell.
When we sold our home, we only wanted our real estate agent to do 2 things: sell our home fast and for the most money. Thankfully, we found HomeLight.
HomeLight rates all the agents in your neighborhood using actual performance data like transaction history and reviews. That's data on millions of agents you can't find anywhere else.
It took just a few minutes, and it didn't cost us anything. We sold in just 2 days, and for more than we ever thought we would.
Join the thousands of people who have found a great real estate agent by going to HomeLight.com.
Meeting people is my life. I had to be careful how wide I would open my mouth because as I was embarrassed to show my teeth, it was time to do something for myself that was going to be permanent.
The Clear Choice one-day approach is making dental implants a reality for people all over the country who suffer from missing or failing teeth.
I felt like I was the most important person on earth to them.
Bill came in, bad teeth, discomfort, pain. We needed to get him into a smile that he felt confident in. We have expertise that he might not find anywhere else, all in one location.
The next day, I had a new smile. Couldn't wait to show some folks. It's amazing what a smile can do for a person.
Discover why this is so much more than another dental procedure. It's a true life changer. With over 30,000 new smiles and counting, we're lifting spirits and confidence all over America. Schedule your free consultation today. We'll even talk about financing options.
I'm eating corn on the cob. I had the best smile I'd ever had in my life.
Call Clear Choice today.
Valentine's Day, huh? You're probably planning to think outside the box. My advice? Don't. This Valentine's Day, think inside the box. Make a big impression this Valentine's Day. Introducing the perfectly paired collection from Pro Flowers and Sherry's Berries.
1000bulbs.com is the place to go for lighting fixtures and bulbs where the price is low.
I love their selection.
I save money buying online.
I can help and give suggestions.
I'll get your light bulbs there on time.
It's the #1 place where lighting is sold. We ship within 1 day. We're 1000 bulbs.
Visit 1000bulbs.com/Hannity.
When it comes to travel, I sweat the details. Late checkout, down alternative pillows, and of course, price. TripAdvisor helps you book a hotel without breaking a sweat. Because we now instantly search over 200 booking sites to find you the lowest price on the hotel you want. Don't sweat your booking. TripAdvisor, the latest reviews, the lowest prices.
Well, Michelle and Barack Obama's Smithsonian portraits were unveiled today. It's hard to believe they're real, but apparently they are. The president's portrait shows him stuck to a wall of foliage like you were glued to the outfield at Wrigley Field in Chicago. Michelle Obama's portrait was less weird, though some question whether it actually looked like her at all. The portraits were painted by Kehinde Wiley. Her previous paintings include racially fraught works of white people being decapitated, of course. Mark Stein is an author and columnist, and he joins us tonight. Mark, I don't know if you're familiar with her oeuvre, but I want to put some on the screen for our viewers who aren't familiar with it. So here's one of them. There's the famous decapitation, the racially fraught decapitation portrait. Now, I sort of wonder, like, you don't have to be too creative. If you flip this around, I mean, that's a pretty heavy-duty thing, isn't it? That looks like, well, there's another one. This is the person painting the Obamas' portraits?
Yeah, I think this is what happens when you try to be up to the moment. Yes. Clearly, the Obamas didn't want to... My advice, if anyone wants to do a formal official portrait of you, is to just climb into a suit, stand in front of a fireplace, or sit in a wing chair, because almost any time you try to do it differently, it comes off worse, and in 5 years' time, you look completely ridiculous. It's like the portrait of Howard Dean in the state capitol in Vermont, which is commonly referred to as the L.L. Dean portrait, because all the other governors are lined up looking like a bunch of stiffs who look like governors, and there's L.L. Dean looking as if he's about to go into the wilderness to commune with Algonquin natives. Anything you do risks, other than the conventional one, risks looking ridiculous. And I think in the case of President Obama, in front of all those leaves, that's very much the case.
That's right. And I should point out, by the way, that his portrait was painted by a different artist from the one who painted his wife's. He may have been a little less sensible than she. So I don't know if you saw this. This is, there are only 9 members of the Supreme Court. One of them is called Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She's sort of a hero on the left. And she recently said that sexism is to blame for Hillary losing. Now, Supreme Court justices obviously typically avoid partisan political expressions, but while she was attending a women's conference at Columbia, she aired her grievances about 2016. Listen to this.
I think it was difficult for Hillary Clinton to get by even the macho atmosphere prevailing during that campaign. And she was criticized in a way I think no man would have been criticized. Sexism was played a prominent part.
Does she have evidence for that, or is she just making it up since she's a Supreme Court justice, I guess?
Yeah, that's the point at which I would have leapt up and said, objection, Your Honor, move to strike. Because there is no evidence. She shouldn't be talking about this for a start, because and it shouldn't be necessary to state it so obviously, because she's a judge. She shouldn't be doing this. And this is not just political, but it's actually speculative. She's purporting to explain, as Hillary has tried to do, why Hillary lost. And she's revealing that she is making assumptions about half the people who will be appearing before her bench in the court. And in that sense, her speculations, as the lawyers like to say, have no probative value. She is a judge, and she should know better than to concoct evidence based on her own assumptions. I think this is absolutely terrible. You know, I loathe rule by judges, which, alas, this great republic has dwindled down to. But people accept it because they think they're a kind of super legislature, 9 robed regents who are above the law, who are above politics. So if these 9 robed regents start purporting to know the minds of 100 million voters, I think that's actually very disturbing. I think, with respect, this is something no judge should be doing, and she should be rebuked by the Chief Justice for doing it.
Yeah, I wonder what she would make of the majority of married women who voted against Hillary.
Right, but you know something, that's a fact, and that fact could be laid before the court. But what this judge is doing is just actually speculating based on her own prejudices, and that's actually a kind of weird thing for any judge, never mind one who's got this far up the chain.
I agree with that completely. I think it's kind of a serious thing, and I'm glad you think so too. Mark Stein, great to see you.
Thanks a lot, Tucker.
One professor says you ought to stop having children for the sake of the planet. He'll join us next to explain why. Stay tuned.
I thought I was managing my moderate to severe ulcerative colitis, but I realized something was missing. Me. The thought of my symptoms returning was keeping me from being there for the people and things I love most. So I talked to my doctor and learned Humira can help get and keep UC under control when other medications haven't worked well enough. And it helps people achieve control that lasts, so you could experience few or no symptoms.
Humira can lower your ability to fight infections, including tuberculosis. Serious, sometimes fatal infections and cancers, including lymphoma, have happened, as have blood, liver, and nervous system problems, serious allergic reactions, and new or worsening heart failure. Before treatment, get tested for TB. Tell your doctor if you've been to areas where certain fungal infections are common, and if you've had TB, hepatitis B, are prone to infections, or have flu-like symptoms or sores. Don't start Humira if you have an infection.
Be there for you and them. Ask your gastroenterologist about Humira. With Humira, control is possible.
Liberty Mutual stood with me when this guy got a flat tire in the middle of the night.
Hold on, Dad.
Liberty did what?
Yeah, Liberty Mutual 24-hour roadside assistance helped him to fix his flat so he could get home safely.
My dad says our insurance doesn't have that. Don't worry, I know what a lug wrench is, Dad. Is this a lug wrench?
Maybe. You can leave worry behind when Liberty stands with you. Liberty stands with you. Liberty Mutual Insurance.
Need a change of scenery? The Kayak Price Forecast tool tells you whether to wait or book your flight now, so you can be confident you're getting the best price. Giddy up. Kayak. Search one and done.
This Valentine's Day at Massage Envy, you'll receive a free customizable 60-minute facial or a free total body stretch session when you purchase $125 in Massage Envy gift cards for your loved one. Massage Envy, making the best of every body.
President Trump sent a message around the entire world. The United States of America is back. This is information you will not get anywhere else.
Whoever invented football should be worshipped as a god.
Your football club chooses you. You don't choose your football club. You've got to be a bit of a psychopath. Demons come out inside of you, which is ridiculous. It's just a game.
Some people believe football is a matter of life and death. I can assure you it's much more important than that.
I bet you've never seen a bed like this. It's the new Craftmatic Legacy Rising Pillow Rest Adjustable Bed, featuring bedside power plugs, under bed nightlights, and more. For a little less, up to 50% less than Tempur-Pedic, Sleep Number, and other adjustables. Call now. You gotta see how little they cost.
Families may trust nursing homes to care for their loved ones, but it's important to know the warning signs of abuse and neglect. If you suspect a loved one is suffering,
call 1-800-299-6114. 1-800-299-6114. I'm a non-attorney spokesperson.
I bet you've never seen a bed like this. It's the new Craftmatic Legacy Rising Pillow Rest Adjustable Bed, featuring bedside power plugs, under bed nightlights, and more. For a little less, up to 50% less than Tempur-Pedic, Sleep Number, and other adjustables. Call now. You gotta see how little they cost.
Introducing the Neck Basket, a versatile, economically designed basket that you hang around your neck. The Neck Basket is there when you need it and out of the way when you don't. Now available in 2 convenient sizes. It's like an extra set of hands around your neck.
Wow, that was bad. Wouldn't you like to tell them that? Now you can by becoming an online survey taker at bigspot.com, where people like you get paid to give their opinions on the things they use every day. Visit bigspot.com and start getting paid for your opinions. bigspot.com.
Attention parents of children with cerebral palsy. If you suspect a medical mistake may have occurred at or near the time of birth, call Science and Kirk for a free legal consultation.
Call 1-800-336-5513. That's 1-800-336-5513.
Want to save the planet? Don't have kids. More and more people are coming to that conclusion. The New York Times has profiled the growing group of people who say they're refusing to have children because they don't want to contribute to global warming. Joseph Palermo is a professor of history at Sacramento State University. He says that's about the right idea, and he joins us tonight. Professor, thanks for coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me, Tucker. I need to make something clear, though, before we start. I'm from Sacramento. I have to give a shout-out to Anthony Sadler, our student here at Sac State, who's playing himself in the new Clint Eastwood movie. He graduated 2017 from the school
I just interviewed him.
Front
him. What a great guy he is. Well, I'm impressed.
Well, we'll see.
Okay,
that's evidence that we're not indoctrinating the students and telling them to worry about trigger warnings and post-structuralism.
Well, that kid is brave. I will say that.
At Sac State.
Well, you're right.
Stingers
He
up.
is.
Go Hornets.
Amen.
Go Hornets.
All right. See, that wasn't bad. I usually hate that stuff, but that was a good one. Okay, so let me just ask you this.
But the other thing, I got to clarify.
No, I can't let you promote anymore. I can't let you get fired. No, I can't do that.
I'm not a
sorry.
scientist. I'm a historian.
You got to stop or else I'm going to get...
Kennedy.
No, I know, but if you promote any more, both of us are going to... So let me just ask you a question.
Than Chris Matthews' book.
Well, that's not...
Chris Matthews' book can't even come up with this.
Yeah, well, that's not... Okay, that's not high praise. Here's the question. So you think that people should have fewer kids because of global warming, but all the highest birth rates are in Africa. I mean, all of them. Basically, you go to the top 15. And so it's Malawi, and it's Somalia, and it's Burkina Faso. You're telling African women to have fewer kids? Is that what you're saying? That is what you're saying.
Well, this is going to put a furrow in your brow, Tucker, I'm telling you right now, because although I think that article is legitimate in that it raises some legitimate concerns. It's really a dumb article that we're talking about. Because what are we going to do? Stop reproducing the species? It's not going to happen. We're going to have children. I don't believe that we should stop having children. I believe we should look to the future and look at what the markets are telling us right now, which is that renewables, solar, wind, all of those, the capacity is increasing. They're saying global capacity for renewables and electricity globally by 2020, 2025 is going to be increased by 40%. There's going to be
yeah, I mean, that's partly true. That's partly true. I mean, wind is a joke, but solar is real. But hold on. There are a lot of people out there. Hold on. There are a lot of people out there who are arguing that you shouldn't have children, or you want to limit the number of children you do have because of the earth and the pressure that they put on the earth. And I guess my question is, are you going to take this message to the countries that are having the most children, all of them in sub-Saharan Africa? And two, it's a little anti-human, isn't it, that message?
Look, I'm a historian. Let's go back. I mean, I'm telling you, this country's already been through that whole thing. It's called eugenics in the early 20th century.
Right, I know.
And we don't want to go there. What we want to do is we want to work all together, people in all the world, to face a global problem. I mean, Fox Business News just on December 20th was urging its readers to think about investing in alternative fuel stocks. I mean, Elon Musk is going to have 100,000 electric semi-trucks in the next 4 years. He wants to produce 100,000 a year. He just shot a Tesla into outer space. That's the future. And the stocks are showing that. The markets are showing that all of them.
So what you're saying, can I say a couple
money
questions?
Is going to those.
So the stock market is always, this is why I love liberals now, because like the stock market's always right now. Is the stock market, so you take a lot of your cues from the stock market? So if like tobacco stocks go up, is smoking okay?
No, I'm just saying that back in the day, when Henry Ford was moving the country to automobiles, there weren't people saying, "Oh, we've got to hang on to the whip and buggy industry and let's not move there." We moved into auto.
A lot of people saying
that. Now we're moving into electric fuels, electric vehicles. I mean, he just shot a car into space, man.
Well, I know. It was so impressive. I mean, I'm not sure what that means. I'm not.
But it means that we're leaving the 19th century. We're leaving the 19th century. We're going into the 20th century.
Let me ask you that. Let me just sum this up since we're almost out of time, and this interview is obviously totally insane. Is there anything about the future and technology that...
spoken.
Okay, there you go. That's a new liberal position. Markets have spoken. Is there anything about technology or markets that makes you uncomfortable at all? Or are they always good and right?
There's a woman running for governor in Minnesota right now on economic stimulus to tackle climate change. I mean, we're moving forward. There's a conservative group in Wisconsin called the Wisconsin Conservative Energy Forum.
Nothing can go wrong.
Conservatives
technology is always good. All right. Good.
They're moving on. It's moving forward.
You know what? I love your childlike faith, Professor, and I'm not going to do anything. You know what? I'm not going to tell you that Santa's not real because I don't want to hurt you. Thanks, Professor. Great to see you tonight. Well, of course, everything is racist in America, and by everything we mean literally everything, even acknowledging who founded the country. Racist. Details ahead.
Sup, world? It's The Box with 30% savings for safe drivers. Coming at you with my brand new vlog. Just making some ice in my freezer here, so check back for that follow-up vid. This is my cashew guy, Bruno. Holler at him, Brune. Kicking it live and direct here at the Fountain. Should I go habanero or Maui onion? Should I buy a chinchilla? Comment below. Did I mention I save people $620 for switching? Chinchilla updates? Got that chinchilla after all. Say what up, Rago?
Handcrafted burgers. Any burger, just $7.99. Now that's eating good in the neighborhood.
At Safe Flight Auto Glass, we know that when you're spending time with the grandkids, every minute counts. And you don't have time for a cracked windshield. That's why we show you exactly when we'll be there, saving you time so you can keep saving the world.
Are you hiring great people?
I get more talented people through the door through Indeed than any other job search that I use.
Indeed delivers 6 times more hires than any other job site. Post a job in minutes, and Indeed will help you zero in on just the right candidates. Plus, there are no upfront costs or long-term contracts.
Nothing has ever been this easy, this simple, and this effective.
Right now, start your first job posting with free premium placement. Search for greatness. Indeed, the world's #1 job site.
At Casper, we had an idea. If the simplest products are designed for the curve of our bodies, why are mattresses flat? So we designed a new kind of mattress that mirrors the natural shape of our bodies. We precisely engineered it at 36 points to reduce pressure on our hips and shoulders while supporting the core. We call it the Wave. Flat on the outside, but curved on the inside. For me, it's just a more human way to sleep.
Try today at Casper.com.
It would be nice to stay in a cozy boutique hotel somewhere along the coast. Not exactly sure where yet. But annoyingly, on a lot of websites, you can only see results for an exact location you search for. Well, Trivago does it differently. On Trivago, you can simply use the map, explore the whole area, and as you move along, Trivago keeps showing you all the hotels that meet your search criteria. And that's one more way Trivago helps you find your ideal hotel for the best price. Hotel Trivago.
Dawn is serving up dinner for a whole town.
That table was like so big.
And one bottle of new Dawn cleaned all the dishes? We did it. 6,000 dishes, a drop of Dawn, and grease is gone.
Dear Fresh Pet, I've got 5 boys. Rudy's the youngest. But when he got older, he suddenly stopped eating. After a few days, he was too weak to stand. Then we found Fresh Pet. The dog who wouldn't eat cleaned his bowl. Now Rudy's 13 and going on 3.
Be patient, the horse is around the mall.
I'm sorry, Leo. I know I'm late. Traffic on the Ponte Vecchio on a Monday.
Always late.
My wallet. Momento.
Card lock from Capital One. Instantly lock your card in case your card goes arrivederci.
Monna, that smile.
Technology this convenient could make history.
During a recent speech to the National Sheriff's Association, Attorney General Jeff Sessions praised the position of sheriff as, quote, a critical part of the Anglo-American heritage of law enforcement, end quote. And, of course, that's literally true. America has an English justice system. We inherited it. America does not have a Chinese or Nigerian or Iranian system. Actually, that's one of the main reasons people from China and Nigeria and Iran want to come here so badly. Our English system of justice makes this a great country. Any immigrant will tell you that. Just don't tell the morons on the left they think an English justice system is somehow racist. Senator Brian Schatz of Hawaii, not a genius, tweeted this, quote, do you know anyone who says Anglo-American heritage in a sentence? For the chief law enforcement officer to use a dog whistle like that is appalling. Well, it's pretty funny. Senator Schatz probably doesn't know it, but the Hawaiian state flag has a Union Jack in it, clearly racist. And by the way, we do know someone who used the phrase Anglo-American, which should be a crime, but he did it anyway, and he used it in a sentence. It was 2006. It was Barack Obama, actually. He was praising habeas corpus as a key part of, quote, Anglo-American legal system. Yeah, apparently that was a dog whistle to his fellow white supremacists. Too many dumb people on television. We're going to end tonight's program with congratulations to one of our favorite people, a key member of our team on this show, Kelly McNally, who's senior booker of this program and beloved in the building. She's responsible for a lot of the people you see on the show every night. This past weekend, Kelly got engaged to Ray Ernie, who is a very lucky man. Congratulations, Kelly. You are absolutely the best, and everyone thinks that. That's about it for us tonight. Tune in every night at 8 to the show that's the sworn enemy of lying, pomposity, smugness, and groupthink, John Hannity.
This is a Pops News Alert. Major breaking news and huge developments tonight. According to 2 stunning reports, American spies paid $100,000 to a shadowy Russian last year in exchange for stolen NSA documents and for so-called compromising material on President Trump. So in other words, were American deep state spies potentially paying Russians for Trump dirt? Now, we're going to break down all the new details tonight. And the media distorts why the Democrats' memo was not released late last week. Now, liberals set the trap for the Trump administration by including sources and methods. Only problem for them? Well, the president didn't fall for this. Plus, senators raising questions tonight about former Obama National Security Advisor Susan Rice over an email she sent to herself on Trump's inauguration day. Also new tonight, the liberal mainstream media fawning over the sister of the murdering dictator Kim Jong-un at the Olympics while criticizing Vice President Mike Pence. We're going to show you that video and explain to the brain-dead media why they shouldn't be praising a rogue regime that tortures and kills people in prison camps, and starves their own children. Also, remember the plane load, $1.7 billion in cash and other currencies that the Obama administration gave to Iran? Well, the Washington Times tonight reporting that some of that money can be traced back to terrorist groups like Hezbollah. We'll cover that and much more in tonight's Breaking News Opening Monologue. All right, before we get into all the news we have tonight, on this show, we're never going to forget that Hillary Clinton, we now know, rigged the primary against Bernie Sanders. We're not going to forget that her exoneration was written before the investigation was even near complete on the private email server. We're not going to forget that a phony dossier bought and paid for by Hillary Clinton with Russian lies was used to get a FISA court warrant against Carter Page, even though the FBI never verified the information. On this show, we're going to stay on this story until we get justice. Now on to tonight's developments. Now we have two shocking reports, both from the New York Times and The Intercept. They are raising serious questions this hour about just how far the deep state will go to damage President Trump. Now, according to these reports, American spies met last year with an unnamed Russian who was thought to have ties to Russian intelligence. Now, the American officials were interested in recovering powerful cyber tools that had been hacked, but this Russian person quickly claimed to have, quote, compromising material on President Trump. Now, the New York Times does report that the American intelligence officials say they were only interested in retrieving the NSA cyber weapons, but the Russian was eagerly pushing anti-Trump information, which included a 15-second video of an American businessman in a room talking to two women. And according to the Times, there was no way to verify who was in that video, and the American spies thought it was incredible. Now, the Times reports that the American officials eventually agreed to pay this shadowy Russian $100,000. But instead of turning over NSA hacking tools, he gave them, quote, unverified and possibly fabricated information involving Mr. Trump and others, including bank records, emails, and purported Russian intelligence data. Now, the $100,000 was supposed to be the first installment of $1 million that they were going to pay out, which was down from $10 million that the Russian originally was asking for. Now, the Times also notes that since the phony anti-Trump dossier, authored by Christopher Steele, came out last year, there have been at least 4 Russians with espionage connections, and they have tried to sell damaging information to political operatives, spies, and investigators. And also, according to the Times, remember Cody Shearer, longtime Clinton ally, who would write a second fake news dossier, quote, he has been crisscrossing Eastern Europe for more than 6 months to secure the purported compromat, which means compromising material, from a different Russian. So there's a lot of information to take in here. Let me try and connect these dots for you. U.S. intelligence officials paying $100,000 to a Russian with purported ties to Moscow ends up giving them unverified, possibly fabricated anti-Trump information. Now, where that information is, who has that information, we don't know. Now, the CIA tonight is strongly denying the information being reported by the New York Times and The Intercept. And the NSA reportedly declined to provide a comment to The Intercept. And on top of all of this, we're also learning that at least 4 other Russians have been shopping around compromising information. By the way, I thought they liked Trump. And longtime Clinton friend Cody Shearer is literally going all over Europe trying to dig up damaging dirt about President Trump from a Russian. Here's what it all means tonight. Russia is doing everything they can do to spread lies about President Trump, and Democrats are more than happy to accept it because they'll do anything to damage the president. And I thought this was the horrible thing to do. I thought we spent a year investigating collusion with the Russians, but we have discovered real collusion. And these new reports are offering up even more evidence that we hadn't seen before. Now, we already know that Hillary Clinton and the DNC, they paid over, what, $12 million to Fusion GPS. They hired the former British spy, Christopher Steele. He created that dossier filled with Russian government lies and propaganda, salacious material. Well, Clinton did that with what intention? She wanted to impact the general election. It didn't matter if it was truthful or not. And those two memos, as they're uncovering here, they're the FBI and the DOJ. Then they used the salacious, unverified dossier of Christopher Steele to get a warrant to spy on the Trump campaign and their associate Carter Page. And according to the memos, the dossier made up the bulk. Remember, the Grassley and Graham memo made up the bulk of the FISA application. And then the FBI, James Comey, they never bothered to verify it. And then they used it, and they go before a FISA court in an effort to spy on Carter Page and the Trump campaign. They never said Hillary Clinton bought and paid for it, and it's not verified, as they should have. And as we told you about on Friday, Politico is reporting that former White House chief strategist Steve Bannon, he may have been picked up by FBI surveillance while Carter Page was being spied on. And a State Department official actually admitted in an op-ed that he was sharing anti-Trump opposition research from friends of the Clintons with the dossier creator, Christopher Steele. This is all an unprecedented abuse of power. The Constitution is being shredded before your eyes. Civil liberties are being severely violated. Remember the Fourth Amendment protection against unreasonable search and seizure? And yes, in spite of what the media is telling you and downplaying, it is bigger than Watergate. And as we have been reporting, a lot more information is coming out every day. Now, take a look at the side of your screen. Think this is a small scandal? So far, 14 officials at the DOJ and the FBI have either been fired, reassigned, demoted, or quit. They want to get out of there. And there are a lot of others who are involved in what is being exposed. But simply being moved around the bureaucracy, that's not going to be good enough. That's not going to solve the problems. All of these officials, they all need to be investigated, and those that are guilty, prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law so this never happens again. Also new tonight, Senator Grassley and Senator Graham of the Senate Judiciary Committee, they're now demanding answers from President Obama's former National Security Advisor, Susan Rice. Now, they discovered a partially unclassified email that she actually sent to herself on President Trump's inauguration day. And Rice, through this email, appears to document a January 5th, 2017 Oval Office meeting between President Obama, former FBI Director James Comey, and former Deputy Attorney General Sally Yates regarding Russian interference in the 2016 presidential election. In her email, Rice notes that President Obama apparently told Comey and others to handle things, quote, by the book. Really? And Grassley and Graham are struck by the context and the timing of this email, and they have now sent out a series of questions for Rice to answer by February 22nd. Now, while Republican memos are providing damning facts and evidence about deep state government corruption, well, the Democrats, they're desperately trying to cover up the truth. They never wanted you to see this information, and they're trying to change the narrative. They put out their own counter memo, and on Friday, President Trump sent the Democrats' memo back to the House Intelligence Committee with a letter explaining why. Because it contained classified sources and methods that could jeopardize national security. And of course, the media predictably ignored all of these facts, and they're attacking President Trump for being anti-transparency. But of course, we know they're lying. The Democrats were clearly setting a trap for the president. They wanted him to release classified material about sources and methods. The White House didn't fall into the trap, and the president wants to release the memo. Democrats, they have to make the necessary edits, not the president. Now, remember, the Republican memo did not contain classified information. It did not reveal sources and methods. So why can't the Democrats play by the same rules? Because the facts aren't on their side. And for rigid left-wingers in this country and members of the media that are complicit, that are claiming this is, all a plan to block the Democratic memo, not at all. I say release that memo. They clearly didn't read the White House letter or listen to the House Intelligence Committee chair, Devin Nunes. And Nunes is saying, like we're saying, that he wants the memo released. I want it released. Take a look.
We actually want the Democratic memo out. We think it's ridiculous on the face of it. We think it's very political about how they attack myself. They attack Chairman Gowdy. They turn Carter Page into some super secret Russian spy. They talk about how Christopher Steele is a really, really good source when we know that he lied to the FBI. So we want this out. We don't know why they're not in this weekend redacting it so that we can get it back to the White House so the president can declassify it.
Right, there you have it. For Republicans, this whole issue has been about truth and transparency. And for Democrats, the left-wing media, it's all about playing politics. We're going to have more on that in a moment. But first, the Winter Olympics in South Korea began late last week, but not without some controversy. Now, after Friday's opening ceremony, well, members of the echo chamber swung into full gear to heap praise on a woman named Kim Yo-jong, who just happens to be the director of propaganda for the rogue dictatorship in North Korea, and the sister of one of the most brutal, oppressive dictators in modern history, Kim Jong-un. That didn't stop the mainstream media from fawning all over Kim Yo-jong for showing up at the opening ceremony, shaking hands with the South Korean president, and calmly watching the opening procession. CNN, fake news, the whole network, they ran this headline, quote, Kim Jong-un's sister is stealing the show at the Winter Olympics. And Reuters led with the caption, quote, North Korea heads for diplomacy gold medal at Olympics. And not to be outdone, the New York Times writes, Kim Jong-un's sister turns on the charm, taking Pence's spotlight. And the New York Times also tweets, without a word, only flashing smiles, Kim Jong-un's sister outflanked Vice President Mike Pence in diplomacy. And the Washington Post, not to be outdone, called Kim Yo-jong the Ivanka Trump of North Korea. Of course, this glowing coverage continued on TV. Take a look.
Athletes from the North and South Korea marching on the same team, waving reunification flags. More history just a few seats away. Kim Jong-un's sister, right there, behind the vice president. She's on hand for the Olympics as well.
In a historic moment, South Korean President Moon Jae-in shook the hand of Kim Yo-jong, the sister of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un.
The sister of Kim Jong-un shook hands warmly with the South Korean president in the VIP box at the Olympic opening ceremonies.
But North Korea is stealing much of the limelight. Kim Jong-un's sister landed at Incheon Airport earlier today.
3 days of the world's media running after the sister of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. And still, we know very little about the woman who has stolen the headlines at the Pyeongchang Winter Olympics.
All right, if that's not bad enough, the media also goes after Vice President Mike Pence for refusing to shake her hand in the VIP box. We'll have more on that with Joe Concha later in the show. But take a step back and remember, the woman that the media is applauding is the director of propaganda for a government that has, let's see, murdered around 400,000 political prisoners in what some are calling concentration camps. And these camps have been in existence since 1982. And as we speak, between 80,000 and 120,000 people are still imprisoned in those camps, including men, women, and even children. And according to a 2014 United Nations report, well over 200,000 people from around the world have simply disappeared, never to be seen again inside of North Korea. And don't forget, there are 3 Americans currently being held hostage in that rogue state. Now, the Kim Jong-un regime has also been responsible for the recent death of the American Otto Warmbier, who was imprisoned and sentenced to hard labor for allegedly stealing a poster. But last but not least, millions of people are currently starving inside of North Korea. Roughly 30% of their population starving. All while this little despot, Kim Jong-un, lives a life of luxury and his sister enjoys a prime seat at the opening games of this year's Winter Olympics. And despite all of this, the mainstream media continues to praise Kim Yo-jong. Now, it's pretty disgraceful, but we shouldn't be surprised. It was the same mainstream media that praised, of course, President Clinton for saying his nuclear agreement with North Korea, that's a good deal for the American people. They'll never get nukes. Well, that didn't work out. And if you don't learn from the past, you're doomed to repeat it. And that's why the media is a sad and despicable broken record. And finally tonight, speaking of bad plans, remember the plane loads of $1.7 billion in dollars in cash and other currencies the Obama administration stupidly gave the Iranian mullahs chanting death to America in Tehran? Well, now we're finding out that the rogue regime is using a lot of that money. Washington Times reporting that the U.S. government has now been able to trace some of the money given to Iran and determine that Tehran is using it to fund the terrorist group Hezbollah. Big shocker. Here with reaction, former Deputy Assistant to the President, Fox News National Security Strategist Sebastian Gorka, and former U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Fox News contributor John Bolton. Dr. Gorka, I look at this and I say, okay, it's the same theme. So there's a compulsion on the left to want to suck up to the world's worst dictators. Why? Why do they think that works?
Look, it's nothing new. This is what the New York Times was doing with Walter Duranty in the 1920s and 30s, who was singing the praises of the Soviet Union as Stalin was killing millions of people. I mean, this is a regime. I mean, you pointed out, this is the person who runs propaganda for a Stalinist regime that's starving its own people. Would CNN have celebrated Goebbels? Would they have celebrated the propaganda machine of Hitler's Third Reich? It's outrageous. The lack of self-awareness of the left-wing media is incredible. You have one of the most honorable men in the world, Vice President Mike Pence, sitting there doing what is right morally, and they want to focus on a key member of an evil, evil dictatorship. It's beyond the pale, Sean.
You know, you look at these quotes. I mean, CNN ambassador, you know, going out there, Kim Jong-un's sisters stealing the show at the Winter Olympics. In the New York Times, without a word and only flashing smiles, Kim Jong-un's sister outflanks Vice President Pence in diplomacy. Where's this desire to just worship the propaganda minister of North Korea with their horrific human rights record? Well, I thought the left cared about human rights.
Only when it suits them. And, you know, it's more than the bias. It's their incompetence. It's their lack of knowledge, their unwillingness to look, their lack of appreciation for the fact that the North Korean propaganda machine has done all this before. They've had unified Korean teams march in 3 previous Olympics. They've had invitations in 2 intra-Korean summits years ago in 2000 and 2007. All of this propaganda, of which the current Olympic charade is part, did absolutely nothing to slow down the North Korean nuclear weapons and ballistic missile programs. And that's what the current charade is doing. The media are stenographers for the North Koreans, and their lack of historical knowledge or appreciation shows they've got the attention span of fruit flies.
I still, for the life of me, have a hard time understanding why people think bribing people that threaten to destroy you, you know, death to America, death to Israel, burn the Israeli flag, burn the American flag. Oh, who thinks it's a good idea to send in cargo planes full of cash and currency, and that somehow the mullahs will like us in Iran, or the dictators in North Korea will somehow change their ways, Dr. Gorka?
Sean, there's a very simple answer to all of this. Why do they do this? Because these people don't love America. Why did these people excuse everything Obama did for 8 years as he went on an apology tour?
I don't think that's it. I think they actually think that if you kiss their ring and bow before them, that they will like you. And as history has proven, that doesn't work.
But why would you do that with a regime that is evil? There's a very important point here that we need to appreciate, that the left-wing media always helps our enemies. They don't support Israel, our best friend in the Middle East. They support Iran. Think about that. They don't support our great longtime allies. They support those who are anti-American, whether it's North Korea, whether it's Iran, or whether it's China. This is, you know, if you don't like America, then the media will love you. It's that simple.
Ambassador Bolton, because Donald Trump has taken a hard line. You know, little rocket man, I have a bigger button on my desk, and ours actually works, which I think is hilarious, but it also sends a strong message. Do you think it had any impact on Kim Jong-un and his desire to be in these Olympics, potential talks with South Korea? Does peace through strength, did it have any impact here?
I think it's had an enormous impact, because I think for the first time, certainly in 8 years, but really for the first time significantly in 25 years of our efforts to stop North Korea from getting deliverable nuclear weapons, I think they believe that when Donald Trump says all options are on the table, he really means it. And for North Korea, this is a very critical period. It is for us, too, because the North is, as CIA Director Mike Pompeo said, within a handful of months of having this deliverable nuclear weapons capability. So I think what the North was trying to do was throw up a propaganda screen, have people ooh and ah over the sister, look at the joint women's hockey team for the Koreans, and forget the uranium centrifuge is still spinning and the rocket scientists still working, in hopes they can get across that finish line before we can do anything about it.
Dr. Gorka, I think the Washington Post had one of my favorites, the Ivanka Trump of North Korea. Did they inadvertently suggest that that Ivanka Trump is good for the country and a bit of a star? It wasn't on purpose, I'm sure.
No, I mean, the great irony is that if this were really an analogy with Ivanka Trump, they would have attacked this woman, just as they've attacked everybody in the president's family since he became the president. So, no, they're
nicer to the propaganda minister than the president's daughter. That's probably a good point.
Yeah, think about it. Nice. The left-wing media in the last week has supported the dictatorship in North Korea, given them free propaganda. This is a regime that has labor camps, Sean.
All right, well said. Thank you both. Sad but true. News gets harder every day. When we come back, Ed Henry has a live report on the scary situation involving President Trump's daughter-in-law. White powder was sent to her home earlier today, and much more as we continue straight ahead.
If my skin was dry, it would look like this. But Gold Bond Men's Lotion has 7 moisturizers and skin strengthening proteins for smoother, healthier looking skin. Man up.
Just because you're cooking at home doesn't mean you can't travel the globe. Plated is the meal kit for people who love food, and our flexible plans fit every table and schedule. Our diverse menus include 20 globally inspired, chef-designed recipes and 2 delicious desserts every week. Get everything you need to make amazing dinners delivered in one completely customized box. From pre-portioned high-quality ingredients to easy-to-follow recipe cards. Get 25% off your first 4 orders at plated.com/25x4.
As a working mom, I'm thankful my mom is able to help out.
Awesome.
So I bought her the all-new Jitterbug Flip from Great Call. It's a cell phone she actually enjoys using.
Yeah, and from the T-Rex.
She loves it and takes it everywhere. It's so easy to use, and with a larger screen and bigger buttons, it's even easier to dial.
Let's send it to her.
There's also a 5-star button on the keypad, so I know she can always get help.
One touch of the 5-star button turns the Jitterbug into a personal safety device. In any unsafe or uncertain situation, you'll be immediately connected to a highly trained agent who can confirm your location, assess the situation, and get you the help you need.
Now it's easy for us to stay in touch.
What'd you say?
So cute.
Service starts as low as $14.99 a month. Plus, get 25% off at Best Buy, Rite Aid, or Sears.
Exclusively from Great Call.
My name is Jeff Sheldon, and I'm the founder of Bug. Before ShipStation, it was crazy. Like, it's great when you see, 100 orders come in, but then you realize I got 100 orders that I actually have to ship out. ShipStation streamlined that whole process. The order data, the weights of the items, everything is seamlessly put into ShipStation. So when we print the shipping label, everything's pretty much done. It's so much easier. So now we're ready, bring on the orders.
ShipStation, the #1 choice of online sellers. Go to shipstation.com/TV and get 2 months free.
We believe in rock and roll. We believe in blasting it down the fairway, turning up the heat and the fun. At Del Webb, we believe in life well led, in your own beautiful, smartly designed home, in an active adult community with sushi eaters, artists, thrill seekers, and you. We believe you'll like it here.
Dance to your own beat this Valentine's Day. Purchase $699 or more at Helzberg Diamonds and get a free Mega Blast waterproof speaker with built-in Amazon Alexa, a $339.98 value. Helzberg Diamonds.
President Trump sent a message around the entire world. The United States of America is back. This is information you will not get anywhere else.
Mom was diagnosed with Alzheimer's at 58 years old.
For me, it was heart-wrenching.
It takes a toll on everyone. I mean, it's a depressing disease to watch unfold before your eyes.
You just don't see the person's soul is like gone.
This disease just ravages a family.
It changes your life.
The magnitude of it is indescribable.
Now is the moment. If we work together, we can stop this epidemic.
Contact Bright Focus and learn more.
800 Sandals.
Baby, you don't have to say nothing.
Live from America's News headquarters, I'm Kelly Wright. The NYPD and Secret Service are investigating after President Trump's daughter-in-law received a letter containing a white powder. Police say the powder is not considered dangerous, but Vanessa Trump was hospitalized as a precaution. Donald Trump Jr. reacted to the incident, tweeting, "Thankful that Vanessa and my children are safe and unharmed after the incredibly scary situation that occurred this morning. Truly disgusting that certain individuals choose to express their opposing views with such disturbing behavior." The Senate voting to begin debate on immigration. Many Republicans back President Trump's plan to offer possible citizenship to nearly 2 million so-called dreamers, $25 billion for security and the border wall. Democrats also want citizenship for dreamers, but disagree with key parts of the plan. I'm Kelly Wright. Now, back to Hannity.
All right, in what might be the most absurd anti-Trump coverage in recent memory, the mainstream media fawning over the North Korean minister of propaganda, Kim Jong-un's sister, all while trashing Vice President Mike Pence following the Winter Olympics opening ceremony. Take a look.
VP Mike Pence was in the stands at the Olympics where he seemed to be making a silent protest by remaining seated when North and South Korean athletes entered the stadium under the Korean unification flag.
I thought that Mike Pence said that it was inappropriate to make political statements at sporting events.
If you're in Korea, you need to stand up. You need to stand up and show respect.
Not standing during the ceremony was very odd.
It was a clumsy moment. If we had actually people working in the State Department, I'm sure they could have given Mike Pence more effective instructions.
Again, this is certainly a propaganda win, nonetheless, for North Korea to have these images showing two top-level officials sitting with South Korea's President Moon Jae-in and the Vice President just a short distance away.
All right, here with reaction, the author of the brand new book, The Faith of Donald J. Trump, a spiritual biography, David Brody. Also with us tonight, The Hill's Joe Concha. You know, Joe, they want to believe. They want to love. They want to suck up. The evidence is overwhelming. This is a brutal, murdering dictatorship that was recently threatening the United States, the continental United States, with nukes, threatening and firing missiles over Japan, threatening Guam, and instability everywhere. Why this desire to suck up and kiss the ring of these dictators?
Well, don't forget, Sean, also that North Korea has a population of 25 million. UN report last year shows that 18 million people there don't have enough food. And remember Otto Warmbier, a U.S. citizen who was tortured within an inch of his life and died last June. You remember how they used to torture him? And this is according to Fred Warmbier. They actually removed his teeth, and I doubt that a local was administered, and then placed them back in his mouth in different parts where they shouldn't be. And now we're seeing, as you mentioned in your last segment, story after story, headline after headline, Kim Jong-un's sister turns on the charm, takes Pence spotlight. I'm sure if this was Joe Biden and in the previous administration, that wouldn't happen. And the running joke on social media this weekend, and it was very effective, it was, if this were 1936, the headlines would be Eva Braun steals spotlight at Munich Olympics. It's essentially saying the same thing.
You know, this is interesting, David, because you wrote a spiritual biography of Donald Trump, and I'm sure those that maybe don't like Donald Trump's tweets or he's had a controversial life, they may not understand it. But one thing's certain, he's not going to make a deal with two-bit dictators that are threatening to destroy America, be it the mullahs in Iran or try and bribe them or bribe the North Korean dictators. That's a certain understanding, fundamental understanding of good versus evil, isn't it?
Absolutely, Sean. And I will also say that, look, ultimately what this is about is that his base knows that he's not going to cut that deal. And also independents and Democrats that are a part of that base know he's not going to cut that deal. And so that is a big deal in Donald Trump land. You're right. I wrote that book, The Faith of Donald Trump, out today, by the way, Sean. And I will just tell you that there is a whole different side that the media just doesn't get with him. And I think it's important. You'll see a lot of law and order. North Korea is a good example of that, but there's a compassionate side to him as well, and we've got stories in the book to tell about it.
But the left, they like to say that they have this, a more spiritual sort of superiority and a monopoly on compassion for the poor, the disadvantaged, et cetera, et cetera. We have, as Joe pointed out, how many millions of North Koreans are starving as he throws all this money into a nuclear program so he can destroy the rest of the world, or at least threaten to destroy.
Well, and I also think what's interesting here, Sean, is that when they're talking about Ivanka, right? They're the Ivanka of North Korea and the Ivanka of America. I mean, the idea that they would put elegance in all of this, in other words, this idea that there's an elegant sister in North Korea, I mean, really is just a slap in the face. But beyond that, CNN has really gone off the rails here. I mean, they've had a problem since day one.
You're just figuring that out, David?
Yeah, well, this just in. Do we have can we put a chyron at the bottom of the screen?
Fox News alert.
Yeah, Fox News alert, CNN off the rails. Catch it here. But look, I mean, even at the National Prayer Breakfast the other day, they were talking about Russians, triple the amount at the National Prayer Breakfast, like they were going to take over and infiltrate the National Prayer Breakfast. It was shameful.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And Joe, I guess this makes you a lot different than some of your media critic colleagues out there. They claim to have a monopoly of compassion, but it looks like conservatives seem to understand that you can't bribe dictators, and sucking up to those that are abusing human rights on a daily basis are not worth being friends with, and that the only answer or antidote is strength.
No, the old proverb here in terms of media, Sean, is the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And in this case this weekend, you know, it wasn't only Trump supporters that weren't just rolling their eyes at this, but actually angry. But I saw plenty of pushback from independents, Democrats, because they saw an American press that was glamorizing a woman who is the director of propaganda and agitation. The Soviets called it agitprop, and it's the most oppressive regime on earth. We've talked about this, but the New York Times CEO, Mark Thompson, he was on CNBC today defending the coverage. He said, quote, "No reader could think for a second that the Times doesn't understand about human rights and abuses." Okay, then you have to start working on your headlines, because 2/3 of Americans now, and I don't know if your viewers know this, Sean, 2/3 of Americans get their news from social media, Twitter and Facebook. And they probably do what you and I do probably sometimes. You scroll through, you stop at a headline, you see and you say, wow, I can't believe it. Kim Jong-un's sister outflanked Pence on the diplomacy front. You read a little blurb and you move on. You don't actually read the story that they talk about those oppressive regimes and the horrors and the murders. But you know what? You better work on your headlines and make it more accurate, because people aren't reading the stories. They're just looking at headlines, and it's very dangerous. Context is not added in those situations.
All right. Thank you both. Good luck with your book, David. We appreciate you being with us, and I know you had a lot of interviews with the president to get that book together. When we come back, the latest on Deep State Gate, the media giving President Obama a free pass on all this government surveillance abuse. We won't do that on this show. Monica Crowley, Tom Fitt, and Pam Bondi, all coming up straight ahead with the latest developments.
President, I am somewhere in Mexico. I've been kidnapped.
This is really bad timing.
They want $5 million wired to an account.
You tell whoever's got you, there is no deal unless they come way down on the price.
What? What the mother?
I almost feel bad for the guy.
Just stay focused.
I'm focused.
Things are going to start to get better for you.
You work for bad people. I don't think you can survive that.
Gringo. Rated R. In theaters March 9th.
Why buy the same old yellow box for hemorrhoids? Recticare Complete Hemorrhoid Care System has 2 effective medications. The strongest OTC concentration of lidocaine to relieve pain and itch, plus phenylephrine HCl to reduce swelling. Get more complete hemorrhoid relief with Recticare Complete.
Hi, I'm Annette, and I'm an actress. Under eye bags and wrinkles are so frustrating. I came across Plexiderm, and I was so excited. We have a model. His name is Richie, and all he's doing is taking a small amount. It's so powerful. That's all it takes. And what I love about Plexiderm is you don't have to worry about the injections, the expensive plastic surgeons, because this is something that you can do in the convenience of your own home.
I was a little skeptical, I am not going to lie, because I saw people online with it. I'm like, yeah, right, that can't possibly work. Honestly, it really works.
I did this to my father at home, one eye, so that we can compare. 4 minutes, 34 seconds. The appearance of his under eye bag completely gone. We were screaming. It was so exciting and amazing. You have an event, you have any of those moments where you want to feel the best about yourself. The videos that you see are real. Those are the results you can expect to see.
Visit Plexiderm.com or call the number on your screen.
Soft. Softer. And the world's softest ever. Introducing the world's softest pajamas from Pajama Ground this Valentine's Day. What makes these pajamas the world's softest? The fleece lining is carefully brushed, which makes it both soft and warm, while the knit on the outside is silky smooth. She'll love the way the world's softest pajamas look and feel, and so will you. You can order these pajamas now in time for Valentine's Day. And every package comes already wrapped, so you don't have to do another thing. And when she's happy, you're happy too. So go ahead and spoil her. Guys, give your Valentine the gift that keeps on giving. Softness, comfort, and relaxation. Call or go online now at pajamagram.com to order the world's softest pajamas today. Every order comes with free gift packaging and a personalized gift card. Delivery is guaranteed by Valentine's Day. So order now at pajamagram.com.
Why buy the same old yellow box for hemorrhoids? Recticare Complete Hemorrhoid Care System has 2 effective medications. The strongest OTC concentration of lidocaine to relieve pain and itch, plus phenylephrine HCl to reduce swelling. Get more complete hemorrhoid relief with Recticare Complete.
Did you know that a dirty CPAP system can make you sick? If you knew what could be growing in your mask and hose, it would keep you up at night. Now SoClean.com has released the world's first and only automated hands-free CPAP cleaner and sanitizer. With its patented design, SoClean is fast, effective, and hands-free, killing 99.9% of all CPAP germs. Try SoClean now through this special TV offer free for 30 days. Just call 800-650-4157.
My health has improved. It's simple to use, and I'm not worried about infections.
SoClean works on all CPAP machines and popular masks, destroying CPAP bacteria, viruses, and germs without the daily hassle of washing your system by hand. Just place your mask in, close the lid, and in just minutes, voila, sanitized and ready to use. Try SoClean risk-free for 30 days. This is a limited time offer. Call now, 800-650-4157, or visit SoClean.com today.
Monica Crowley, she has a powerful new op-ed out today in The Hill entitled "Federal Abuses on Obama's Watch Represent a Growing Blight on His Legacy." Now, Monica writes, quote, "In all of the discussions about the political weaponization of the Department of Justice and the FBI, alleged corruption at the highest echelons of those agencies, and serial abuse of the secret FISA process surrounding the 2016 election, one name has been conspicuously absent: President Barack Obama." Here now with reaction, Senior Fellow at the London Center for Policy Research, Monica Crowley, Judicial Watch's President Tom Fitton, and Florida Attorney General Pam Bondi. Monica, let's start with this because, yeah, it's all true, isn't it, that she rigged the primary. Pam can answer this later, but I've never heard of an exoneration months before interviewing the main people in an investigation. That allows her to continue. She pays for Russian government, Russian propaganda. That gets used for a FISA warrant. They don't tell the FISA judge she bought and paid for it, and that it's not verified. That's all in order to disrupt the 2016 election. How does this get to Obama? I think the Susan Rice memo, the Grassley-Graham memo, might be giving us some insight.
Yeah, you know, Sean, we've been talking about the two sort of surface things going on here. And the purpose of the weaponization of the DOJ and the FBI in the Obama administration. One was to protect Hillary Clinton from prosecution and make sure she was, in fact, the candidate because she was joined at the hip to Obama. Remember the Benghazi attack. Remember the knowing and repeated communications over her server and by her private email account. So they had to protect her in order to protect President Obama. If she were guilty of committing felonies, then so was he. So they had to insulate her. And the other part of it is, of course, they hated Donald Trump, so they wanted to derail him. But nobody is asking the bigger question as to why. And that's what I tried to get across in this column today at The Hill, Sean, which is that Barack Obama essentially fulfilled the long-held leftist ambition of changing the nation on a leftward trajectory, what Obama himself called the fundamental transformation of the nation.
Well, he had 8 years.
There was no way, right, and there was no way that he and his team and the Clinton squad also was going to allow those 8 Obama years of leftist achievements be reversed by none other than Donald Trump.
Pam, there's zero doubt the evidence in the email server. I've listed them enough times on this program that multiple felonies were committed. But then you have the FBI director and this Trump-hating higher-up individual, Peter Strzok, and his mistress, and then Andrew McCabe, they're talking about insurance policies. So the fix is in.
Right.
You're a prosecutor. Have you ever exonerated or begin an exoneration letter months before you interview the key people in the investigation? It never made sense. And then that all leads to her staying in the race, paying for the Russian lies, and then you go to a FISA court and you withhold information. Isn't that lying by omission to a court?
Sean, it's more than lying by omission. When they go for a FISA warrant, they have to swear under oath that the facts they're presenting the judge are true. And I can't believe that the judge hasn't pulled them back already into court to undo what's happened. It's ridiculous. And a FISA warrant, that's one of the most important things we do as prosecutors, because you are invading someone's privacy. You are wiretapping their phones. You are listening to everything they do. That's why that information has to be...
Got James Comey.
Right.
Saying to Trump it's not verified and salacious. But it's only a footnote as we understand it. To the FISA court, it may have political origins. They knew Hillary bought it. They know she paid for it. They knew it was even probably not verified, but they didn't tell the judge.
Yeah.
What should happen now?
Well, the judge needs to bring them back before him. They should all be held in contempt at very minimum for bringing false information to a judge. That's more than lying by omission. They did not give the judge all the facts. I believe it was very falsified what they did. It needs to go back before the judge, and it needs to be wiped out. And everything you always hear us say, fruit of the poisonous tree, it's a very basic law school principle. But everything that came out of that warrant is the fruit of a poisonous tree.
Would that mean General Flynn's guilty plea?
Absolutely.
Out the window?
Everything
100%.
should be. Everything. And I really cannot believe it hasn't been brought back before the judge, now that you've revealed and Fox and everyone has revealed all of these
memo's
facts.
there. Tom Fitton, I did see the president tweeting you this weekend. Congratulations. But more importantly, you're digging deep to get... Will we ever get a look at how bad this FISA memo was, or the arguments made before the court? Is that something maybe in redacted form we could look at to see what they purposely did not tell this judge that they knew at the time?
Well, we've sued for them. There are these dueling memos. The Democrats are going to have their memo eventually come out. And why is it we're relying on this summary document? Let's get the underlying information. I know Nunes is asking for it. We've sued in court for it. And I've told the White House that they should take this approach of extreme transparency on this Russiagate. It does nothing to protect the president from the solicit activity against him, and it protects people like Barack Obama and the Justice Department and the FBI that was misused to target President Trump.
Do you think
Barack Obama, the dossier is central to the Russia collusion theory. It's collapsing, and if it was central to Russia collusion theory, we have reports today, quickly, Sean. Barack Obama was given the dossier. He was given the dossier. What did he know, and why hasn't he been questioned about it?
Well, that's a good point. And the Grassley-Graham letter to Rice today, Monica Crowley, they want to know what was talked about on January 5th and what Susan Rice, a note to self on just the hours before they leave the White House. Doesn't that seem a little odd, that letter that she's sending out?
Well, yeah, but I mean, look, the idea, Sean, that any of these people in the executive branch under President Obama, the branch he oversaw, that any of these people, Comey, Lynch, McCabe, the list goes on, Strzok, Page, or that any of these people freelanced any of this without at least the tacit approval of the president and or his White House, really strains credulity here.
All right, let me ask them, Pam, you read this letter, Susan Rice's email she's sending to herself in the waning hours of the Obama administration. How do you interpret it? My interpretation is CYA.
Of course it is. Of course that's what it is. And to say that the president of the United States, Barack Obama, didn't know what was going on is ludicrous. And that's why Monica's brilliant op-ed made so much sense. The fundamental transformation of the nation, that's what then candidate Obama wanted to do to our country. Now it's CYA by all of them. He wanted Hillary elected so he could not only protect his liberal agenda, but also to protect himself from everything that the country would find out that he had done. I don't think one email on the last day is going to cover up all of this. It's a good shot, but I don't think it's going to happen. All right, good to see you all. We appreciate your hard work. When we come back, Ed Henry back with an update on how D.C. is reacting to all the news tonight and more. Straight ahead tonight on Hannity.
The closer you get to home, the more you know the commute is worth it. For all the work you pour into this place, you sure get a lot more out of it. You and that John Deere tractor, so versatile, you can keep dreaming up projects all the way home. It's a longer drive, but just like a John Deere, it's worth it. Nothing runs like a Deere. Now you can own a 1E subcompact tractor for just $99 a month. Learn more at your John Deere dealer.
For myself and you, I know this love is true. And I never let you go.
Elite Singles, the leading dating site for highly educated singles. Register today to love again at elitesingles.com.
Good morning, Walter. Aren't you the dapper dandy today? What's that? That's my new Hurricane. It has a comfortable handle, and it stands by itself. Big deal. More than you can do. And it flexes. Makes getting around so much easier. Cute. Walter, get out of the Stone Age. Get out of here.
The Hurricane leaves old-fashioned canes in the dust.
See you later, pal.
So don't get left behind.
Mind if I join you?
Get your Hurricane now at these fine retailers.
Dance to your own beat this Valentine's Day. Purchase $699 or more at Helzberg Diamonds and get a free Mega Blast waterproof speaker with built-in Amazon Alexa, a 330 value. Helzberg Diamonds.
Hey, listen up. We're Hims. And we help you stay looking like this, not like this. Most guys start losing their hair by 35. But thanks to science, that's optional. And so are other man issues. We deliver products directly to you at home. It's easier to take care of yourself than fix it later. Try it out at 4hims.com.
On the congressional hot seat, major tension between the FBI and lawmakers as they come face to face on Capitol Hill. Laura gets you all the fallout tomorrow on the Ingram Angle.
Did you know that a dirty CPAP system can make you sick? If you knew what could be growing in your mask and hose, it would keep you up at night. Now SoClean.com has released the world's first and only automated hands-free CPAP cleaner and sanitizer. With its patented design, SoClean is fast, effective, and hands-free, killing 99.9% of all CPAP germs. Try SoClean now through this special TV offer free for 30 days. Just call 800-650-0494.
My health has improved. It's simple to use, and I'm not worried about infections.
SoClean works on all CPAP machines and popular masks, destroying CPAP bacteria, viruses, and germs without the daily hassle of washing your system by hand. Just place your mask in, close the lid, and in just minutes, voila, sanitized and ready to use. Try SoClean risk-free for 30 days. This is a limited time offer. Call now, 800-650-0494, or visit SoClean.com today.
If you or a loved one was diagnosed with mesothelioma or asbestos-related lung cancer, call now. Americans who worked in shipyards, refineries, steel mills, power plants, or chemical companies could have been exposed unnecessarily. Because of companies' negligence, U.S. courts have ordered many to put aside billions of dollars for victims. Call now to see if you are eligible for a cash award. You could receive money without going to court or even filing a lawsuit.
Call 1-800-398-5216. That's 1-800-398-5216.
This is a hernia mesh legal alert. If you experienced problems following hernia repair that resulted in removal of the hernia mesh, you may have a case.
Call 1-800-296-1275 for a free case evaluation.
Attention parents of children with cerebral palsy. If you suspect a medical mistake may have occurred at or near the time of birth, call Science and Kirk for a free legal consultation.
Call 1-800-336-5513. That's 1-800-336-5513.
All right, joining us now with more on all of today's big stories, Fox News Chief National Correspondent Ed Henry. As I watch everything that's going on, this is your territory, and you've got to be fair, balanced, and objective, and I don't, which is really, really good. You know, I'm watching everything as it relates to, we now are learning a lot about 2016 that we never saw before.
Yeah,
I know
no
it's
doubt
a battle over the release of the memos.
Yeah.
But I think the evidence is pretty incontrovertible that something wrong happened when you exonerate before investigate. I think any American would say that probably doesn't happen too often to them. And then now that we know there's two Russia stories that the media never talked about, One involves Hillary Clinton paying for the Russian dossier, and the other one involves the uranium one and the fact that she signed off on the CFIUS deal. Where's your media colleagues on these stories?
People are AWOL right now, Sean, and I think what's remarkable is that Devin Nunes got so beaten up by the mainstream media for putting out a memo that in the end did not compromise sources and methods, as many people in the media predicted, because they were listening to John Brennan and all of these national security experts, mostly from the Obama administration, tied to the old Clinton administration or the Clinton campaign, saying that this was going to reveal sources and methods. It did nothing like that. What it did was name names, yes, but made a fundamental point that, in fact, the FISA court judge and judges, since there were multiple FISA applications, it was not disclosed to them that, in fact, the Clinton campaign and the DNC had paid for that dossier, which was a key part of getting the surveillance and spying of Trump advisor Carter Page. So the very bottom line is, yes, Democrats are entitled to get their memo out as well. And the president says the only reason he's blocking it right now is that there is classified information that he wants pulled back. So if the Democrats go back to the drawing board and reshape their version of the memo, we're told by lawmakers who have seen the Democratic memo, it does not dispute that fundamental point we were just talking about, that the FISA court judges were not told that the DNC and the Clinton campaign paid for the dossier. Even the Democratic memo does not dispute that.
You know, and the thing is, if you look at the timeline, remember, there was an earlier attempt that was denied as it relates to a FISA warrant. That was July. But when you go to the October FISA application, you're right. It was unverified. A footnote that says it may be political in nature does not mean it came from the Clinton campaign and the DNC. Correct. That was withheld, but it was known and it was withheld. But here's the irony to me is that James Comey, this is in October. He's arguing that this should go before the FISA. He knows it's going before the FISA court. It's the bulk of information, according to the Grassley-Graham memo. Yeah. But then in January, when he goes to see Trump at Trump Tower, he's still the president-elect before the swearing in, and he's telling Trump it's unverified and salacious.
Right.
3 months earlier, he's saying something different.
Two important points there, Sean, from a reporting aspect, which is, you're right, number one, James Comey is telling the president-elect at Trump Tower, January 2017, this dossier is unverified, even though if you rewind the tape, as you say, back in October 2016, the FISA court judge, it's not made clear that it's unverified. Instead, they suggested that the FBI had verified at least parts of this. And the other important point about the dossier is that it's not clear that President-elect Trump was told, in fact, we believe he was not told, that the dossier was paid for by the DNC and the Clinton camp, even though James Comey clearly knew that.
I'm trying to wrap my arms around this. If it's not verified and it's used as the bulk of information, I would think that if Donald Trump, if he had paid for this dossier and it was full of Russian propaganda, and it was used on a FISA court to get a warrant on anybody in the Clinton campaign, that the same media that's silent here or missing in action, as you say, they would be apoplectic about this.
They would be if the shoe was going to be on the other foot. I think here's the real test. When and if we finally see this Democratic memo, if some more redactions are made, maybe there's more points that the Democrats can make in there. Maybe they will be able to challenge some of the facts you just laid out. We simply do not know because we have not seen the Democratic memo. But again, to this point, they have not challenged that fundamental point that the FISA court seems to have been misled. Again, as a reporter, if the Democratic memo has something we don't know today, we have to be fair and balanced and say, okay, here's another piece of information. Maybe the FISA court judges were told something beyond the dossier to give them the confidence that it was verified. At this moment, we don't have that.
Thanks, Ed, for that update. When we come back, a big, huge anniversary for a conspiracy theorist, MSNBC's Chris Matthews. It's kind of a good way. It's our video of the day in the Hannity Hotline. Straight ahead.
Ooh. You sleep on a poorly crafted mattress, you might find yourself sipping a hot cup of mud, too. You need a ghost bed, the only mattress with cooling latex over gel memory foam to give you the deepest sleep. Delivered to your door in a box at a great price, because you shouldn't have to pay a lot for a great night's sleep. Order your ghost bed today and receive $100 off plus 2 free ghost pillows. Ghost bed. Amazing mattress, unreal sleep.
Diabetes can be a daily struggle, even if you're trying your best.
Along with diet and exercise, once daily Tujeo may help you control your blood sugar. Get into a daily groove.
Let's go tonight. Share the spice of life. Baby, slice it right.
From the makers of Lantus, Tujeo provides blood sugar lowering activity for 24 hours and beyond. Proven blood sugar control all day and all night, and significant A1C reduction. Tujeo is used to control high blood sugar in adults with diabetes. It contains 3 times as much insulin in 1 milliliter as standard insulin. Don't use Tujeo to treat diabetic ketoacidosis during episodes of low blood sugar or if you're allergic to insulin. Get medical help right away if you have a serious allergic reaction, such as body rash or trouble breathing. Don't reuse needles or share insulin pens. The most common side effect is low blood sugar, which can be life-threatening. It may cause shaking, sweating, fast heartbeat, and blurred vision. Check your blood sugar levels daily. Injection site reactions may occur. Don't change your dose of insulin without talking to your doctor. Tell your doctor about all your medicines and medical conditions. Check insulin label each time you inject. Taking TZDs with insulins like Tujeo may cause heart failure that can lead to death. Find your rhythm and keep on grooving. Ask your doctor about Tujeo.
You won't see these folks at the post office. They have businesses to run. They have passions to pursue. How do they avoid trips to the post office? Stamps.com. Mail letters. Ship packages. All the services of the post office right on your computer. Get a 4-week trial plus $100 in extras, including postage and a digital scale. Go to stamps.com/TV and never go to the post office again.
Since the beginning, man has been hunting the nutrients we need in a manageable form. Vitamins are traditionally packed with binders, excipients, less active ingredients, and excessive fillers. Now only the very important active ingredients are concentrated into Superior Source microlingual tablets. Soft-molded microlingual tablets dissolve immediately in the mouth. The evolution of the vitamin is complete. Superior Source microlingual instant dissolve tablets. Ask for them at a store near you.
In life, you have to adapt to your environment. That's why Jaguar has developed a unique, instinctive all-wheel drive system. It constantly monitors the road surface and driver inputs hundreds of times every second. Perfect dynamics, outstanding performance all year round. Jaguar all-wheel drive. For great offers, visit your Jaguar retailer during the Impeccable Timing sales event.
For drug-free sinus relief, get Navage, the only nose cleaner with powered suction to flush out allergens, mucus, and germs.
I used to get so congested, but Navage cleans out all the stuff that makes me miserable so I can breathe again.
Now at CVS Pharmacy and Navage.com.
The top stories never stop. They keep growing. They keep changing. They keep evolving. Now, for every key development, Harris Faulkner gets viewers the smart insight, perspective, and conversation no one else can on Outnumbered Overtime every weekday on Fox News Channel.
All right, a big anniversary for conspiracy theory host, MSNBC host Chris Matthews. It was 10 years ago tonight. I was proven absolutely right. Journalism in America is dead. Take a look.
It's part of reporting this case, this election. The feeling most people get when they hear Barack Obama's speech. I felt this thrill going up my leg. I mean, I don't have that too often.
Steady.
No, seriously. It's a dramatic event. He speaks about America in a way that has nothing to do with politics. It has to do with the feeling we have about our country. And that is an objective assessment.
Even Keith Olbermann got it right. Down. Calm down. All right, 10 years ago. Wow, time flies. All right, time for the Hannity Hotline. All right, hit me with your best shot.
I'm just wondering, do you work at being an or does it just come naturally for you?
I'm a retired military guy. Spent 23 years in the military. I appreciate everything you're doing. Keep peeling the onion back. I think that things will get better if we finally have equal justice under the law.
By the way, I think it comes naturally to me, whatever it is that I'm doing, good or bad. Anyway, we love it when you sound off. Doesn't matter. If you feel like you like the show, hate the show, want improvements to the show, give us a call, 877-225-8587. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have left this evening. We're really out of time. We'll always be fair, balanced, never the Destroy Trump media. Let not your heart be troubled. Laura's next. Laura, take it away.
Good evening from Washington. Welcome to the Ingram Angle. It's great to be back in D.C., although New Orleans was fun. And we have so many huge stories to cover, from the Capitol to California. We'll be on them. And Byron York has new information that the Obama DOJ might have overruled the FBI when they reportedly told Congress that Michael Flynn did not lie under oath. And CNN has a crush on the sister of the North Korean dictator. Isn't that nice? And they're not alone. We're going to analyze why this is happening. But first, Democrats banking on the Me Too Trump card. That's the focus of tonight's angle. The past few days have convinced me more than ever that the Democrats and their American media sycophants are feverishly attempting to use the hashtag MeToo moment for Trump's undoing. Now that the Democrats have extracted this massive increase in domestic spending in the budget bill, they've essentially given up on the idea of working with the Republicans to actually improve the country and solve some problems. Pelosi, Schumer, Durbin have come to the conclusion that the only way to beat Trump is to avoid debates on his policies, which, let's face it, for the most part, are showing signs of working. And so what they're instead doing is resorting to full-on demonization and guilt by association. And sadly, it was obvious, almost from the start, that the Me Too movement would become more about politics than justice. You think about it. Justice requires more than an accusation and a denial. It involves probable cause, the rules of evidence, no hearsay allowed, and the cross-examination of witnesses, for instance. You know, this antiquated notion of innocent until proven guilty. Now, of course, in some cases, the evidence is overwhelming. You think about Harvey Weinstein and Kevin Spacey, they come to mind. And their disgusting, even criminal behavior was well known by the glitterati for decades. But after the two went off to rehab and the Me Too thing really ramped up, let's face it, the folks pushing the movement really moved on to their real target, Donald J. Trump.
If anyone knows about inappropriate behavior in the workplace at NBC, it's Donald J. Trump. Is he aware that he's him?
There's one industry that isn't even trying to get rid of sexual predators, and that is politics.
Do you want to be part of Sexual Assault Month? I'm in. When do I start?
That's such a bad impersonation of Trump, by the way. I'm sorry, it's really lame. Remember last week as well, the press exploded with stories about that guy, Rob Porter, a name most of you hadn't heard of before last week. Well, he's a former staff secretary to President Trump who was accused by two former wives and a recent girlfriend of abusive behavior. His reportedly tumultuous relationships, to say the least, apparently didn't, however, affect his work, which by all accounts was top-notch. Even one of his ex-wives said she didn't think he should be fired, despite what she claimed were his anger problems. And on Friday, the president refused to throw Porter to the wolves.
I found out about it recently, and I was surprised by it. But we certainly wish him well. It's a obviously tough time for him. He did a very good job when he was in the White House. And we hope he has a wonderful career, and hopefully he will have a great career ahead of him. He says he's innocent. And I think you have to remember that. He said very strongly yesterday that he's innocent.
Well, that was heresy, because apparently the only acceptable response from the president would have been condemning Porter to a life of misery and inviting the wives to the White House for a Me Too lunch.
Trumpism doesn't merely tolerate sexual abuse. Sexual abuse is a very apt metaphor for everything Trumpism is. This is a rape culture presidency, and Donald Trump has become the commander-in-chief of American rape culture.
This is a sexist, racist, and misogynistic administration and government. Trumpism is not about anything else more than misogyny.
He continues to not speak up for the victims or the people who've been abused, but for the abusers.
Well, it's fine. And I think the president could have mentioned the people who claim that Porter did that to him. Absolutely. The ex-wives, sure, he could have mentioned it. Maybe probably should have. But Excuse me if I don't think that the Democrats really care all that much about women who are victims of abuse and harassment. Remember, folks, they campaigned with Bill Clinton, they partied with Harvey, they ridiculed Paula Jones and Juanita Broderick, and they looked the other way when abuse was occurring for years because it helped them professionally, personally, politically, or all three. It was only when Rose McGowan and Ronan Farrow exposed the truth about Weinstein that stars, starlets, producers, directors, and even Hillary Clinton were forced to issue their late-in-the-game denunciations. And ditto for Congress. You know, they didn't begin their soul-searching moments until reports emerged of a secret House slush fund that was used to pay settlements to those who were accused of wrongdoing, politicians and staff. Oh, and by the way, while we're on that, Congressman John Conyers, who was forced into retirement over harassment allegations, he was an old lech for years, and everybody knew that. So I ask you, if these Democrats cared so much about women, especially vulnerable young women, why didn't any of them speak up? Oh, we all know why. Now, this is really good. Even a Supreme Court justice seems to be hopping on the Me Too bandwagon, citing a toxic, testosterone-filled atmosphere for Hillary's election loss.
I think it was difficult for Hillary Clinton to get by even the macho atmosphere prevailing during that campaign. Anyone who watched that campaign unfold would answer the same way I did. Yes, sexism played a prominent part.
I'm sure she can decide any case involving Trump without any prejudice whatsoever. It's an outrage. This is another reason, by the way, to question life tenure for Supreme Court justices. She has basically become a political pundit. Look out, Rachel Maddow. She could have her own show on MSNBC. And then there was 2020 Democrat hopeful New York Senator Kirsten Gillibrand.
I think he should resign, and if he's unwilling to do that, which is what I assume, then Congress should hold him accountable. We are obligated to have hearings.
And has she ever returned that money that Bill Clinton raised for her? I haven't followed that, but I doubt it. Look, Gillibrand has fully weaponized, and I'm sick of that word, but I'm going to use it anyway, fully weaponized the Me Too hashtag movement with the intention of driving the female vote in the midterms and ultimately sweeping herself right into the Oval Office. And while we all condemn actual abuse and harassment in all of its forms, regardless of where it occurs, the last time I checked, jobs, the economy, healthcare, education were still the top issues for voters, including women. Nonetheless, let's face it, a shift may be underway, especially among younger voters. Ted Cruz said over the weekend that the left would crawl over broken glass to vote in the midterms. Thinking about it, he's probably right. And if Gillibrand has her way, most of those with cuts on their hands and knees are going to be women. The left is really busy marshaling their allies, their resources across the cultural and political spectrum to make the president toxic to women and ultimately drive him from office. And the president has already seen some erosion in his female support. Democrats know this is a magic bullet for them. If they turn the women's vote by just a few percentage points, it can mean the difference in the midterms and in 2020. But I want to be clear. This is, by all means, not a lost cause. That's not what I'm saying, contrary to what MSNBC, CNN would have you believe. Most women want greater economic opportunities. They want safe streets. They want solid public schools for their kids. And they want health care that covers the big stuff. I think that's for most of us. And then the president is doing more on all of those fronts than I think the past two presidents combined. And he needs to sell this directly to the voters, including women voters, directly. But tone matters, especially with women. It's not just what you say, but how you say it. And sometimes it's also what you fail to say. That can be just as important as what you do say. So if he comes on too strong or too defensively in tweets or in off-the-cuff exchanges with reporters, he could set himself back. And he could confirm the unfair caricature the left promotes 24/7. And that could mean disastrous results. And that's the angle. All right, we're going to have a lot more to say about that, about the angle coming up later in the show. But we have to begin with a remarkable new development indicating that the Justice Department may have overruled the FBI in the Michael Flynn case. We're joined by the reporter who broke this story just tonight, Washington Examiner's Byron York, and by his fellow Fox News contributor, Kim Strassel of the Wall Street Journal. Byron, let's start with you. I had heard rumblings about this last year, that Mike Flynn did not lie in questioning by the FBI. Remind us of how this all went down. It was very unusual how he came to be interviewed.
Very unusual. Remember December of 2016, that's during the transition. Flynn was the next National Security Advisor. He was getting calls from all around the world. That's what happens when you're about to be the National Security Advisor. He had a couple of conversations with Sergei Kislyak, the Russian ambassador, and these were wiretapped because we wiretapped the Russian ambassador, which is perfectly reasonable. They talked about sanctions, and somehow the Obama Justice Department became very concerned about this. They convinced themselves that this might be a violation of the Logan Act. You've probably told your viewers about the Logan Act. 200 years old, never successfully prosecuted. They did try to charge two people in the 19th century, but it didn't work. So on this basis, this pretense, they then go to interview Michael Flynn on January 24th, fourth day on the job in the White House, right? And what I learned...
Acting AG Sally Yates, who would then resign. She sends the FBI over to the White House. Exactly. He has no lawyer with him. For some reason, he agrees to be interviewed, but it must be random. Hey, I'm from the FBI. I'm here to talk to you. I'm at the White... What? It's just bizarre.
So this becomes a huge issue. Congress wants to find out what's going on. In March, James Comey, then the FBI director, briefs Congress, and he said the FBI agents who interviewed Flynn did not think he lied to them. Something happened between then and December 1st when he pleaded guilty to lying in that interview.
Kimberly, what's your gut here? They were trying to squeeze Mike Flynn to get at Trump, to try to crack him, and then you'll crack the whole operation. But I had heard that from the beginning, that Mike Flynn didn't lie. He didn't think he'd done anything wrong when he talked to the ambassador.
When you look at Mike Flynn, you basically have two options for why he would have done this. One theory out there is that maybe Mueller had something worse on him, and so this was his way of getting out. The better theory, which has been out there, is that his son was also under investigation. And curiouser, the headlines came out that his son was no longer going to be under investigation right about the time that Flynn accepted this plea deal. So the thought was that he was helping out his son. But look, for people out there who have worries about the Mueller probe and how legitimate it is and whether or not it has other ambitions, this is ground zero for them, because you end up taking the partisan accusations of a very partisan acting attorney general, trying to gin up a charge on an act that's 200 years old, could never be enforceable in law, and manages as a result of this to drum a guy not only out of his job, but ultimately land him with a felony charge.
Byron, here's what it seems to be from the beginning. They needed to get into the Trump campaign. They needed to get into one of the top aides to Trump, and they know how Trump reacts to this stuff. He gets his back up. He's like, I'm a target because you guys are mad that you lost this election, and then they're off to the races. But I think Sally Yates is really an important and overlooked person in all of this.
Extremely important, and I believe she's only really spoken once about this. She testified in May to a Senate Judiciary Committee subcommittee, and she said that she went to the White House, right? So she goes, after she's interviewed Flynn, she goes to the White House, and the White House counsel says to her, well, okay, what if Flynn did lie to the vice president? What if one White House person lied to another? What's it to the Justice Department? And she said, oh, it's a very, very big deal because he might be vulnerable to blackmail. And
I don't even understand that
I didn't
calculus.
understand it either. And a lot of people on Capitol Hill didn't understand it either.
All right, Kimberly Strassel, now we have to move on to Susan Rice, who makes yet another appearance in trying to save the Obama administration. At least that's what it looks like on the surface. We find out today in this new Graham memo that she sent an email to herself. We have a full screen of it. On Inauguration Day, saying the following: President Obama began the conversation by stressing his continued commitment to ensuring that every aspect of this issue is handled by the intelligence and law enforcement communities by the book. The president stressed that he's not asking about initiating or instructing anything from a law enforcement perspective. He reiterated that our law enforcement team needs to proceed as normally would by the book. That's about the January 5th meeting. Why would you be documenting a January 5th meeting on January 20th in an email to yourself? Is that a CYA deal?
It looks very CYA to me. Can you think of any reason why someone would do this? And by the way, just go back to Susan Rice. Remember, she's got a link to the Flynn issue as well, and that she was involved in unmasking him. And then ultimately, of course, that was illegally leaked to the press, his name. But look, on this particular email, it reminds me of this story. Back in 2003, Jay Rockefeller, the Senate Democrat on the Intelligence Committee, was briefed on wireless wiretapping. He didn't say anything about it at the time, but he wrote himself a letter and stuck it in a desk drawer, and then later, when there was controversy, he wielded it out to say, look, I never thought this was a good idea to begin with. So look, I think what we have here, is Susan Rice putting down, I want everyone to know that this is exactly what happened in this meeting. Just in case it turns out that someone starts asking later.
Susan Benghazi, right. That's all I need to say. And did she ever get immunity? Do we know if she got immunity?